It's the year 2030 and Nishino Mizuho is having the worst birthday of her life when she receives an email from her boss. The message asks her to finish a project by the year's end, which leads her to reflect on her own past. She sees some high school students nearby and she's reminded of her own high school years, realizing that at that time she didn't fully appreciate how bright and wonderful her youthful experiences were. The scene then throws back to July 1st, 2020, when the world is experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic and a news broadcast announces that it's officially summer and talks about the hot summer temperatures. Mizuho's father prepares a lunch for her and goes to deliver it, only to find a topless boy, Kizuki, in her room. Kizuki and Mizuho are sleeping together on the floor, and although Mizuho reassures her father that Kizuki is just a little brother and is topless because she asked him to pose for her manga drawing, her father expresses concern about them staying up late together and sleeping together like kids. Kizuki leaves and thanks Mizuho's father for letting him stay over, and Mizuho's father jokes around that he would love to hear that from him yesterday rather than that morning. Mizuho then realizes that her father seems to have forgotten that it's her birthday. Then she shares that she has grown up with 4 childhood friends in her residential neighborhood in Koigahama Highland, and they have known each other for over 10 years. Mizuho is now heading to school and greets her 4 childhood friends who are waiting for her outside their house. One teases her for being late, but Mizuho responds that getting ready takes time. Having grown up together, she reflects on the deep bond they share. They can't keep secrets from each other and are so close that they're practically like siblings. They are now in their 2nd year of high school. At the station, one of Mizuho's friends, Shubo, jokes about her not wearing makeup and teases her about hiding behind her glasses. Another friend, Eru, agrees and suggests she should put more effort into her appearance. Mizuho playfully ignores their comments. Shubo guesses she stayed up late working on her manga, which Mizuho admits is true. The last friend, Shin, who is the bookworm in the group, suggests differently and encourages her to focus on studying instead so that Mizuho won't come to him when they have exams. Retorting his words, Mizuho said that there are more important things in life than academics like love and friendship. On the train, Mizuho's friends continue their usual teasing. Shugo and Shin are focused on encouraging Mizuho to study. But Mizuho notices Kizuki's backpack is open and points it out, thinking that despite his tall height, he's still the youngest in their group. Later, the group asks Kizuki about his upcoming swimming practice, and Eru teases Mizuho, suggesting she'll be watching Saito practice. Mizuho chases after him, not understanding the joke, while Shubo comments on their lively energy in the morning. After school, Mizuho is disappointed to have cleaning duty, and she seems too late to watch the swimming practice because a lot of girls are already there. A lot of girls are cheering and excited to see Kizuki when one accidentally bumps her face, resulting in her glasses falling and breaking. Mizuho then overhears that Saito is absent and that there are rumors of him quitting the team due to the cancellation of national competitions. Feeling disappointed, Mizuho walks home alone, but she unexpectedly bumps into Saito. Mizuho calls him and Saito recognizes her. They sit together at the bus stop and Saito shares his frustration about everything being canceled, including classes, trips, and events, including the swimming competition, just because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Saito questions the meaning of all this hard work just to end up in that situation. Mizuho shyly confesses that she enjoyed watching Saito having fun swimming and had planned to confess her feelings at the final meet, but now apologizes for her feelings. She then says that despite what her feelings are, Saito should swim for his own sake, and Mizuho wants to see him enjoying what he loves doing. Saito coldly rejects her words, saying Mizuho is an outsider and would not understand what he feels about swimming. He rides the bus, leaving Mizuho to reflect on the end of her unrequited, one-sided love. She then calls that day her worst birthday ever. The scene shifts to Kizuki, who is still practicing swimming late at night despite the uncertainty of upcoming competitions. Saito then shows up and questions how Kizuki can stay so determined despite the uncertain situation. Kizuki explains that he made a promise to himself to improve and confess his feelings to a special girl if he reaches the national finals. Feeling impressed and moved by Kizuki's determination, Saito decides to start practicing again as well. Saito then tells Kizuki that Mizuho had asked him to swim for his own sake and that she wanted to see him swim. Kizuki, surprised, clarifies that Mizuho was more than just a childhood friend to him. He sees her as a woman and asks Saito not to make a move on her, showing how protective he is of her. Mizuho returns home feeling down, but her friends surprise her with a birthday party and congratulate her for turning 17. Overcome with emotion from their kindness, she begins to cry. Her friends tease her a bit, but Mizuho thanks them, explaining that her tears are from happiness. Eru takes a photo of her crying and tells them that since there is no fireworks festival this year because it was canceled, they should capture the moment with pictures. As Mizuho prepares to make a wish before blowing out the candles, Kizuki asks her if she had been crying earlier before she got home. He says that he notices it even though she's wearing glasses. Kizuki then blows out the candles and says sincerely that he wishes he could be Mizuho's boyfriend. During their meal, Shubo teasingly asks Mizuho what she was doing alone with Kizuki a while ago. Mizuho is taken aback and Eru joins the teasing, saying that Kizuki was probably proposing to get married to Mizuho, referencing Shubo's past behavior of asking Mizuho to marry him when they were in elementary school, to which Shugo humorously admits it was just a childish phase before he knew that there were other girls in the world aside from Mizuho. Shubo then playfully hits Eru, and they joke around while Shin asks them to eat quietly. Later, Shin notices Mizuho has cream on her face and is about to wipe it, but Kizuki steps in and gently wipes it off, calling her childish, to which Mizuho responds with a playful remark. But Shin looks surprised and caught off guard by Kizuki's actions. The next day, Mizuho's friends are surprised when they see Mizuho wearing contact lenses instead of her usual glasses, prompting teasing remarks from the boys. Eru comments that the contacts look better than her nerdy glasses, which annoys Mizuho. Shin can't stop looking at Mizuho, and when he realizes his action, he jokingly calls her stupid no matter what she does, causing everyone to laugh. Kizuki unexpectedly compliments Mizuho, saying she looks really cute, leaving the group surprised. At school, Mizuho is frustrated by Kizuki's comment, thinking he's just mocking her and drawing the conclusion that he's just trying to cheer her up because of her crying on her birthday. Later, Kizuki suddenly holds her hand and helps her erase the part of the board she can't reach and casually invites her to grab lunch after, which adds to her confusion about Kizuki's intentions toward her. At the cafeteria, Kizuki is getting attention from everyone because of feeding Eru broccoli even though he doesn't like it himself, and Shin jokingly teases him for doing so. Meanwhile, Mizuho is sitting behind them having lunch with her friend Chika, when Chika asks why she isn't with her usual group. Mizuho explains she wants to spend time with her. However, another girl approaches Mizuho to ask her to deliver a gift to Kizuki. Mizuho is confused and questions why the girl doesn't give it to him herself. The girl shyly admits she gets nervous around Kizuki, which makes Mizuho reflect on why Kizuki seems so popular despite his past, where he was known to be sickly and often missed school due to asthma. Mizuho thinks about Kizuki in a different light, recalling how he was dumb and always a crybaby when they were younger. Mizuho used to share her manga works with Kizuki, who excitedly read them and praised her, calling her a genius and saying that Mizuho would be a manga artist when they grew up. Going back to the story, Mizuho tried showing it to a manga editor, who critiqued it and called it average, suggesting she try writing a school romance based on her own experiences. However, Mizuho hesitated, saying that she lacked the personal experience to do so and believed her life wasn't as exciting as it may seem. After talking to the editor, Eru excitedly showed Mizuho some makeup given to her by the editors and said that he'd give one to her. Having drinks in a cafe, Mizuho then told Eru what happened, and Eru encouraged her to try drawing something new and take her mind off things. Mizuho wondered if people really experience thrilling moments every day, as her only dream was to watch fireworks with her crush, but it was cancelled due to the pandemic. She then remembered the gift, which was meant for Kizuki, and Eru asked her if she wasn't bothered at all by the girls flocking to Kizuki. Mizuho then answered why she would feel like that when he was the youngest in their group. Eru then told her that it was completely okay for her to deliver the gift to Kizuki. Mizuho then went to Kizuki to deliver the gift, who was still in the pool practicing swimming. Kizuki was so happy when Mizuho gave the gift, thinking that it was Mizuho who made it. She then explained, telling him that it was from the girls in their class and she was just asked to deliver it. Kizuki was disappointed and asked Mizuho to give the gift back, leaving Mizuho confused and hurt as she had made an effort to go there. As Kizuki left, Mizuho stopped him and Kizuki questioned whether it bothered her or not if he accepted the gift from other girls. She answered straightforwardly that it didn't bother her at all, and then she was about to go home when Kizuki grabbed her hand. Kizuki told her not to leave him yet, just like how he used to when they were younger. Mizuho reflected on how Kizuki was clearly younger and weaker than her. Mizuho grabbed back her hand, telling Kizuki it hurt. Kizuki persisted, and Mizuho was pushed back to the wall and ended up turning on one of the showers. Kizuki leaned in closer to the wall to cover Mizuho from getting wet and hurtfully asked Mizuho if she had ever seen him as a man. Under her breath, Mizuho straightforwardly answered no. Kizuki then reached for her ears, saying he was confident he could change her thoughts and make sure that she would fall for him. Kizuki then grabbed Mizuho's cheeks and kissed her under the shower. Back to the present, adult Mizuho is working as a manga editor. At her office, she talks with Kawaguchi, a young manga artist. Feeling defeated, Kawaguchi reveals that her manga has been cancelled. She wonders if she should give up on being a manga artist entirely. Mizuho, feeling responsible as her editor, reassures her that they can try again. Offering a new theme for her next story, She suggests ideas about youth and love. Kawaguchi, still discouraged, expresses her doubts, saying she lacks personal experience with such sparkling themes. Trying to encourage her, Mizuho reminds her that she's still young and likely living an exciting life full of inspiration. This conversation stirs up a memory for Mizuho. She recalls a similar moment from her own past, where she sat with her editor in the same scenario as Kawaguchi, disheartened after her manga was canceled. Back then, her editor also advised her to write about youth and love, and Mizuho answered the same way as Kawaguchi. She said that she lacks the experience for that theme, without knowing that those moments are so colorful, and she will miss them as an adult. Reflecting on this, Mizuho realizes how much she sees herself in Kawaguchi, recognizing the cycle of guidance and growth in her work as an editor. The scene shifts to the past in high school classroom, where Kazuki chats with a classmate. The classmate complains about failing a recent quiz and turns to Kazuki to ask how he did. Casually admitting he also performed poorly, Kazuki jokes that only Shin, the group's bookworm, can manage surprise quizzes. The classmate laughs in agreement. Meanwhile, Mizuho watches this interaction from the classroom window, lost in thought. Her mind drifts to a memory of Kazuki. She recalls their last awkward encounter in the shower room, where Kazuki confidently told her she would eventually fall in love with him. Caught off guard back then, Mizuho questioned his bold claim. To her surprise, Kazuki kissed her, leaving her stunned and reflective about their relationship. Because of this encounter and their childhood friendship, Mizuho feels awkward around Kazuki and tries to avoid him. When he notices her watching, she quickly walks away. Later, near the classroom door, Mizuho stands in the way as Shin passes by. Bluntly, Shin tells her to move and stares at her for a few seconds before walking off. A friend of Mizuho's remarks on Shin's rudeness, and Mizuho agrees. However, the friend adds that despite his rudeness, Shin has a cool attitude, surprising Mizuho. Another friend comments that Shin looks scary, but the first friend insists that despite his intimidating appearance, Shin is actually quite good-looking. Feeling confused, Mizuho wonders what's going on with Shin. The scene shifts again, this time to the Highlander friends in Mizuho's room. Eru listens to music on his headphones, Shugo reads manga, and Shin helps Mizuho with her homework. Feeling overwhelmed by the difficulty of the work, Mizuho reflects on how hard it is. Shin leans close to her face, holding it briefly as he examines her. Pausing for a moment, he jokingly points out the wrinkles on her forehead, teasing her about how serious she looks. This leads to a brief exchange where Mizuho snaps at him, calling out his rude behavior from earlier at school. She mentions how Shin is known for his good looks but also for his bad reputation due to his attitude. Shin, unbothered, explains that the reason he acts rude is that he feels embarrassed for people to think he's close to Mizuho, who struggles academically and has to retake a test. Calling her a fool, he suggests they meet at the library the next day to review her studies. Mizuho, irritated by his attitude, finds him annoying. Just as their faces get too close during the conversation, Kazuki enters the room, placing a juice bottle between them. Offering the drink to Shin, Kazuki shifts the conversation. Mizuho, trying to avoid further interaction with Kazuki, asks Shin for help with her homework. Kazuki, however, jokingly remarks on how they still aren't done studying. Annoyed, Mizuho tells Kazuki to find something else to do, even suggesting he fold the laundry in the living room. Kazuki leaves and Shugo laughs at his misfortune. Suddenly realizing something, Mizuho rushes after Kazuki, which surprises everyone. Unexpectedly, Mizuho finds Kazuki in the living room folding her clothes. Embarrassed, she sees him holding one of her underwear and demands he return it. As she approaches him, she trips, and they both fall onto the sofa, ending up in an unexpectedly intimate position. Noticing her discomfort, Kazuki tells her that he can't take it anymore and that she's becoming too casual around him. He insists that if she doesn't start seeing him as more than just a friend, it will upset him. Feeling awkward, Mizuho asks for some space, unable to handle the tension. Kazuki agrees and leaves the room, leaving Mizuho in a daze as she processes the sudden shift in their relationship. The scene moves to a gym where Kazuki is working out. Looking up at the sky, he wonders if the clouds signal a storm. Shin approaches, teasing him about going through a typical adolescent phase. Before walking away, Kazuki, curious, asks why Shin isn't at the library with Mizuho. Shin explains that a student council meeting ran late, but that he's on his way to meet her. Meanwhile, Mizuho studies alone in the library, growing frustrated with Shin's delay. She receives a message from him explaining that the heavy rain forced him to leave early and head home. Nervous about the storm, Mizuho decides to pack up and leave. As she runs through the downpour, memories of a painful childhood moment resurface, her father leaving her during a storm and entrusting her to Kazuki and his mom. Overcome with emotion, Mizuho struggles to keep herself together as the memories flood back. The story shifts to the present, where Shin is still searching for Mizuho in the library. The narrative transitions to a flashback of a younger Kazuki reassuring Mizuho, telling her everything will be okay. In her mind, Mizuho wishes for her mother's well-being. Back in the present, Mizuho, frightened by the storm and thunder, hides under a bicycle stand, feeling lost and calling for help. Meanwhile, Shin continues searching for her, unaware of her location as the storm grows fiercer. Mizuho, shouting for help, is found by Kazuki, who wraps her in a comforting hug. Reassuring her that everything is okay now, he softly tells her he's there for her. Overwhelmed, Mizuho calls his name, tears falling as Kazuki offers the comfort she desperately needs. After the storm clears, Kazuki carries Mizuho on his back, checking if she feels better. Mizuho, in a lighthearted tone, jokes that it's a low point for her to be cared for by someone like him. Teasingly, Kazuki apologizes, asking if she would have preferred someone else like Shin. Mizuho admits her fear of thunderstorms, linking it to a painful memory of losing her mother. Kazuki, understanding her fear because he has been with her since the beginning, acknowledges her emotions without saying much or any judgment. Expressing her gratitude, Mizuho tells Kazuki that she appreciates him and prefers him over Shin, thanking him for always being there for her since childhood. They share a quiet moment watching a rainbow appear in the sky. Lost in the beauty of the moment, Mizuho blushes as she looks at Kazuki. Noticing her reaction, Kazuki gets close to her as if he's about to kiss her, and jokingly asks if she has developed feelings for him. Flustered, Mizuho quickly covers his lips and denies it, embarrassed by his teasing. The scene shifts to a hot summer day at the beach, where Eru admires the blue sea and Shin mentions the pleasant breeze. They joke about being in Hawaii, but Shugo interrupts, pointing out that they're actually at a beach in Japan, not Hawaii. Slightly frustrated, Mizuho asks them to focus, but Eru playfully reminds everyone that they're having a pretend school trip since their original trip was canceled due to the pandemic. Mizuho comments that their real trip was supposed to be to Hokkaido, not Hawaii, and notices the others are fixated on a video of a Hawaiian beach. Shugo, who prefers Hokkaido, mentions he was looking forward to trying the local food, especially grilled lamb. Eru suggests they go get some lamb, but their plans are interrupted when Kazuki accidentally splashes water on them. After some confusion and playful teasing, a water fight breaks out with everyone laughing and enjoying the moment. Soaked from the water fight, Mizuho complains while Eru looks on with a surprised expression, as though realizing something important. That night, the group gathers in a small tent. Shin questions if they're allowed to be there, but Mizuho reassures him, explaining that Kazuki got permission from the neighbors and gave them treats in return. Meanwhile, Kazuki focuses on building muscle with dumbbells. Noticing his dedication, Eru suggests he should relax on his day off, but Kazuki responds that he's training for a personal record at the upcoming regionals. Shugo encourages him and Kazuki turns to Mizuho, asking if she'll cheer for him. Hesitating, Mizuho still agrees. Shin, looking uncomfortable, stays quiet, so Kazuki asks Eru if she'll join in too. After some more exercise, Kazuki declares it's time to sleep. Later, as they settle down for the night, Mizuho complains about the flat blanket, prompting Shin to tease her and Shugo to call her spoiled. Mizuho denies being spoiled, but Shin eventually calls for lights out. Feeling cramped due to the limited space and frustrated, Mizuho is startled when Kazuki unexpectedly moves closer to her. Teasingly, he tells her that she can act spoiled with him since their relationship has already reached that point. After all, they've already kissed. Taken aback by what Kazuki said, Mizuho shouts so loudly that everyone wakes up. When the lights come on, everyone is surprised to see Mizuho holding a pillow against Kazuki's face. While the others look on in shock, Mizuho reflects on the situation. She struggles with her feelings of anxiety about being in a relationship with Kazuki. Worrying about the fragility of their bond as friends, she feels uncertain about the emotional impact it would have if their relationship fell apart, leaving her unsure of how to handle her emotions. She's afraid that if she falls in love with him and their relationship blossom, it may tank the group's friendship that they already have since childhood. The next day, Kazuki practices swimming while other students, especially the girls, cheer him on. Watching from a distance, Mizuho is teased by her friend about possibly having a crush on him. Denying it, Mizuho listens as her friend suggests that she might not realize her feelings because they're so close and have been friends since childhood. That night, Mizuho struggles while working on her manga. Feeling frustrated with her inability to create something good, she worries again about what might happen if she starts to develop feelings for Kazuki. The following day at school, Mizuho's friend urgently informs her that the regional swimming competition has been canceled due to the pandemic. Explaining that many other sports teams are affected as well, her friend leaves Mizuho to process the news. Observing Kazuki, she notices that he is the only one not crying or visibly upset, which deepens her concern. Later in the classroom, Mizuho stays behind at school waiting for Kazuki. When he arrives, he admits that the cancellation of the regionals has been tough, but says it's something they can't change. Frustrated by his nonchalant attitude, Mizuho urges him not to downplay everything, especially his feelings. She tells him that he works so hard, and that she doesn't want him to ignore that. Kazuki, opening up for the first time, shares that he's been bottling up his emotions to appear strong. Crying in a rare moment of vulnerability, he hugs Mizuho and tells her not to say such kind things to him. Feeling conflicted, Mizuho comforts Kazuki and hugs him back. As they embrace, Kazuki assures her that he'll keep working hard and asks her to continue supporting him. Deep down, though, and even if she's comforting Kazuki, Mizuho decides that she can't let herself fall in love with her childhood best friend.